Hi everyone, welcome to the Morning Melee podcast, the show where we talk about what Melee means to us, sharing stories and experiences, and our love for the game. Today's guest is absolutely legendary. This guy goes so far back in Melee. I mean, he started playing Melee and I was 5 years old, which is ridiculous. And he's probably the most, the sickest Bowser player, that people think of when they think of Melee and Bowser and enjoyment. So I want to welcome 62-Bit Hero to the show. What's up, dude?
Hello. Not a lot. I'm happy to be involved. I mean, this is a cool thing that you're doing. I like this kind of thing. You got the right vibe.
Yeah, it's been super fun. I remember the first time I met you and stuff, and I was thinking about who I wanted to have on here. I immediately thought of you just because of the vibe in your stream. It's funny you say that, cause I think the same exact thing. I don't know how it happened. Did we play on Unranked or something first?
Yeah, we just happened to run into each other on Unranked. I didn't know that you were like a streamer or anything like that. But you know how you do it when you run into people on Unranked and you're like, I'm gonna look up their name because they're actually sick. So I did that and I saw that you were streaming. That's how we first ran into each other. We played not for 2 hours or whatever, but we played quite a lot of games in a row.
And that is how I met a lot of people early on. Beginning of 2020. I don't know how your stream went and stuff, but that's kind of when I just deep dove into streaming and stuff. Obviously, I didn't have a lot else to do. My quarantine looked world turns upside down. I don't have to be in school anymore. I don't have a graduation ceremony, so I'm just freaking chilling. I'm working 40 hours a week at a grocery store and playing a shit ton of Melee. And Slippi comes out and I'm like, damn.
It's the way that quarantine life is for a lot of us.
Yeah. And
Slippi coming out, man. I'm not gonna lie, I had not played Melee, even one game of Melee in years before Slippi had come out.
That is crazy.
I retired
and I was
a long time ago.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. So you started playing in 2006? Am I correct?
2005.
Even earlier.
When I graduated high school. I'm an old man.
So you started after you graduated?
Yeah, senior year, and through that's when I started playing the game.
Okay.
I had always played Melee, but this was, it's a totally different era than now. It's hard to even describe, but back then, I was the I'm better than my friends. But I really didn't even know, really that you even really could be good at a game. Really, really good. You know what I mean? Competitive scenes, weren't really even
games
much of
were
a
just
thing.
fun. Yeah, it was
they were just sort of, you'd play games with your friends and goof off, and that was that. And then one fateful day, as is the case for many people in my generation of starting Melee, I saw a combo video. I saw Shined Blind.
Who's that by again?
That's Zelgadis.
Okay.
Forever ago from DBR.
And that's the one that introduced Shine as this incredible, useful tool, and it was here's all the million things you can do with it.
He was doing low percent Shine, semi spikes, all that, and I watched that and I went, man, I want to do that with Bowser. That looks so dope. It's a little different.
Little did you know. Yeah, back then there's a difference between Fox and Bowser, unfortunately.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so once you had seen that combo video, you already knew that you wanted to be playing Bowser. Was that something before you got into Melee? Did you just like the character?
Yeah. Oh, I love the character. And again, I'll put in perspective how little I knew about competitive Smash. when that game was coming out, you saw that first trailer, which is still really exciting and hype.
The Melee one, right? At
Melee
Nintendo
trailer.
E3.
Yeah. And I saw Bowser revealed. I thought that was super cool because he's a big monster guy.
Well, yeah, and I've seen a bunch of stuff. I don't know which video it is, but it's about all the pulls that Sakurai was doing and using for who to put in Melee. Because the first game was so successful, he was like, who do you guys want in Melee? And Bowser by far was number one. Like,
it was probably a
really
David Kimball video that you were watching. Probably.
Yeah, David Kimball, right?
Yeah. But yeah, he there are, rumors and things that he was supposed to be in 64 and, development time. There's rumors for that for a couple of characters, for Peach and even Wario. There's rumors for that. But yeah, very popular. I mean, he's the big bad of the Nintendo universe.
Of course, yeah.
So him being in was awesome. And when they showed him do a fire breath, right? And my brain was like, oh, it's like he always has a fire flower item. That's so cool. Like, that's how low of the level it was back then. It was just like fun zone only. That looks like a lot of fun.
Fire, I burn my enemy, I win.
Yeah, looks rad.
So you are just freaking in love with the idea of Bowser and fighting people with him. That's super fun. And then
ever since Mario RPG really is when you start to really like that character. If you grew up in with the Nintendo stuff.
Yeah.
Because he was just big bad random bad guy. And then in Mario RPG, you see him like being a big doof. He's like crying in the background of scenes. He's like the butt of a bunch of jokes and stuff, and then he ends up trying to save the world with you. Play Mario RPG, by the way, if you haven't. To anyone who listens to this, go play that game in text.
I haven't interacted with like Mario a ton. Of course, we grew up in different eras of a Nintendo, but I definitely grew up like in Nintendo family. Like I have only those consoles. I've never had a PS4 or whatever, an Xbox, nothing like that. Only like GameCube, Wii U even. I bought that stupid console and Switch. And but even so, I've played Mario Kart. Bowser has his own personality in that, and I always thought he was hilarious in what's the I can't think of the name right now. The board game type thing. Mini games.
Oh, the Mario Party.
Yeah. He pulls him out. He's like, Luigi, you're so lame. I'm gonna give you a second chance, you piece of shit. He's so funny.
Sometimes, because of Mario Party, I'll put my Slippy tag as Bowser Space. Oh, because I like to imagine that they have landed on the Bowser Space when they go through the random people that they're running into online.
And then what do they do, dude? Oh my god! It's either quit out or lose 3 coins. Get F smashed. So, you competed for years. Like, what was your first tournament you went to? I'm also curious how you say you want to do those things you saw in the combo video with Bowser. How did you go about that? I mean, you're obviously creating this character kind of yourself. So, there wasn't a lot of Bowser to watch.
Yeah, so my journey is sort of weird. I didn't know much about the competitive anything. And so, I'm looking into it, and I'm looking at game facts guides, and I'm getting pulled into, there's this Smash World Forums place. Like, let's go to Smash Boards. That sounds cool. And I'm getting told by a few people, you're going to want to go to DC++. I don't know if you've had anyone on here who's mentioned DC++, but this is like forever ago.
That is...
Think Discord, but it's basically just a chat room for file sharing. Like, that's all that it is.
Okay.
Is it's just you go in there. It's like pre-LimeWire, which is it's old. And there was a Smash server basically. You'd go on and you'd chit chat about whatever. You'd be talking matchups and things like that. And there were some very limited matches you could watch. You downloaded them because YouTube did not exist at this time. You download those files. And you'd have to just, take up the system, data. You just have to take the hit on these huge files that are, less than 480p. They're not interlaced. It's just a mess, but you were desperate for it. It's all you had. First tournament though, through that DC++, I got plugged in with a group of Washington players who were known as SkyPal. That was kind of the big first Washington crew. She kills your peach at leisure is that crew.
Wait, say it again. Sorry, I didn't
She kills your peach at leisure. SkyPal. That's what it was.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And they had some of the best players in the nation for sure. Variety Barrage was excellent. Sastifer is a name that like maybe some people might have heard of. Maybe. He was one of the first people to eliminate Ken from a tournament. So yeah, big old school crew. And our first tournament was in a random house with a bracket written on a sheet of paper. And there was like 12 people there, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I won my first match. I'm pretty sure I lost the other ones after that. But yeah, the beginning journey is so interesting because comparing it to now, you sort of know what you're getting into now.
Yeah.
Before I don't know. You know, the first time I met all these SkyPal guys, we did a Smash Fest in a garage. I hosted a Smash Fest, had these guys come over. Me and Bladewise were there. Bladewise, Washington super mega homie.
I know Bladewise, yeah.
Yeah. We were at this thing. We played for 8.5 hours straight of Melee. I did not win one match. Not one. And those are those starting moments for my generation where it's like, I never play the game again, or I never not play the game again. and so
clearly, clearly you've never not because you tried to retire, man.
Yeah. I would have without the online. I'll say that. I probably would have played a little bit here and there with some friends, but the online makes it a lot easier. Yeah. So it's a journey, man. It's a journey to get started. And then to improve, you know, you start out, and back then I'm trying to prove that Bowser's better than people think. I'm thinking, you know, oh, I'm going to like show people that this character's not so bad. I'll prove this and that. There's limited resources, especially for Bowser. Like if you wanted to pick up Fox back then, you had some resources, but like Bowser's like, you got nothing. You're watching Luke videos, who you probably haven't heard of. Grabfest Bowser. I'd be shocked if you knew who that was.
No.
You're watching those, and you're seeing tournament results of Arash in SoCal, who's Jigglypuff slash Bowser player. That's about all it was.
Bowser Puff dual main.
Bowser Puff combo. Yep.
What would I do if I came across that in tournament, dude? That's
worried about his puff.
That's ridiculous.
But basically I looked at, eventually, you know, you look at what other people are doing and you go, well, I guess I've got to figure it out on my own. You know, I have to solve this one myself.
Oh God. It's a lonely life as a Bowser player.
Yeah. I did have other Bowser players
not as much anymore, but
yeah.
Man.
But yeah, it was a journey, man. Not to say people weren't doing stuff before, but I had to kind of grip that character and go, okay, forget everything that we knew. We're starting over. Like, why do these things work in these spots? Why is this good? Why is this bad? All of those things. And I didn't get good until I went, you know, Bowser is actually as bad as you think. Yes, he is very, very bad. I need to understand like actually where the character is, because if you look at it from like well, hypothetically, like maybe we could be better than X if blank, like you just have to look at the tools that are there and the tools that are not there and play the actual game that you're playing, which I think is a big struggle that a lot of low tier players have, where you try to make the character better. Like it doesn't matter how good or bad they are. It matters what tools you have in any given situation.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that's hard. Like you can try to do like, I don't know, you could say like, oh, Kirby's backer is kind of like Puff's backer. I'm just going to use it like Puff's backer.
Yeah.
But like, it's something like that, you know, it doesn't work. And you have to just know where you're at and accept it, I think, first.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, you play Falcon. Falcon has a lot of great tools, but he does not have the great tools that Fox has, right? So you can't like try to brunt force, you know, well, let's go figure out how to make it more like that. So my out of shield game is like a shine out of shield or something. It's not happening. That is a slight weakness of your character. You're not
getting ideas in my head. I think I'm going to try Falcon kick out of shield now. And I'm about to play in tournament after this. God dang it.
You're just going to be thinking about Shine Out a Shield now. But what if?
Yeah, what if? So you start going to these tournaments. I'm sure you just find bigger ones, you and your Washington crew. Yep. Like, it's just how it goes. Do you think you peaked at a certain point, or did you... did people start figuring out who you were? Because I was talking to Bizarro Flame on one of these, and he was like, he started becoming kind of the Ganon. Everyone would see him and be like, "Oh my God, that's the dude. That's the dude pushing Ganon to the next level." Were they like, "Oh gosh, here comes Gimpyfish, watch out"?
Well, okay, so the pinnacle for sure was when I lived in SoCal, for sure. But the pinnacle in SoCal is because of Washington and Hawaii. I lived in Hawaii for a little bit. That was where I learned to actually be sort of good at the game. Learned how to think. A little
triangle on the Pacific.
Yeah. From Washington, so that's where we were at. And then in Washington, I just play Bowser. Like, I don't like my next pocket character is Mario. And if you get like 100% total skill available, 99.5% is on Bowser. Then like 0.3% is on Mario. And then like
I remember
way less on everyone else.
I remember talking to you on your stream, one of the first times I found your stream and stuff. And you were just saying how completely useless your other characters are, and I was like,
so bad.
I was like, I've never seen a more dedicated main in my entire life.
They're so bad. That's a little bit off topic. People were posting at one point their like stats, matchup stuff, like how much Slippy stats. And I had replied to Forward, who's a super great Falco player, really cool guy also. I replied to him with my stats, and it was just a Bowser stat block. It was like Bowser wins, losses, stages, that's it. And it's like 2,000 plus matches, and he's like, I cannot believe you have only played as Bowser on this Slippy service. Like, that's insane to me. And it's like, I don't know, why wouldn't you? Why not play the character you like?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm playing friendlies, like my brother with whoever, just chilling at a tournament and stuff. And I want to select another character, but I swear I don't even have control of my cursor. It just goes over Falcon and presses A. Exactly. No matter what I'm thinking, I'm like, Falco would be kind of fun. And then I just hear, Captain Falcon.
Yep, for sure. For sure. Yeah, well, guess we're doing that again. I'll take it. Yeah, the peak in SoCal, I did very, very well down there. But like I said, sort of the reason, a lot of it was from Washington. I would play Bowser so much in friendlies and things like that. And because he's a limited character who has very clear things you can do to shut him down, all the people that I played with all the time, there is no gimmick getting through anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like cheese game. Wait. Oh, look, I ran into Bowser, whatever.
Are you about to tell me you cheesed everyone in Washington and like they figured out Bowser, right? So they know the matchup, and then you move, and then nobody knows anything, so you just messed up SoCal?
Sort of. No, it is sort of that. Okay. But more so than that, because of the cheese not working, and while I'm sort of developing what I want to do with the character and everything, the cheese isn't working. Okay, and now I have to actually play the game. You know what I mean? Like, as the low-tier player, okay, I have to learn all the other things. Yeah. I have to figure out, like, all right, I can't just sort of, as the growing bud that I was, I can't just go like, well, I hope that they don't do blank, or I hope that they don't know that you should actually be DIing claw away, or whatever. Like in Washington and in SoCal when I moved there, I would tell people, like, DI it this way. Like, don't let me get away with all this stuff.
Yeah.
You just not knowing is not helping me improve at all. So when I claw grab you and you're playing as Falcon, Falco, or Fox, like, get out of there. Like, you have to DI away, or I get all these follow-ups. Yeah. Don't give them to me. Do not give me these free things. You can tech this. If you tech roll away, Bowser cannot get to you. Never. Like, do those things. You cheese me, and so that I will learn how to play the game better. So that was really the big thing when I moved to SoCal.
That's a huge good thing to do, like mentally and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I'll say, yeah, if you're playing, if you're running into a like a plateau or something like that, give yourself a check on that, because it's real easy to rely on like, well, this has worked a lot, so it's good. That it working does not mean that it's good at all. It just means that it worked.
That reminds me of playing SFAT. I've played him a handful of times online and at tournaments when I found him and stuff, and it's just mind-blowing every time, because I have these things, I just do to Fox players and stuff.
Yep.
I'll get a grab and I'm like, okay, this is the down throw knee gimp, like easy.
Yep.
And I try it and he like slide off insta grab ledge invincible up smashes, or he always tells me about this double jump immediate air dodge thing, like it dodges all of Falcon's stuff.
I do that a lot. That's a Bowser classic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Got the fastest air dodge in the game. Boom, top tier, baby. Nailed it.
Didn't know that. No, but it's just those experiences you
yeah, for sure.
Because
those things you wouldn't even think twice. I do the down throw. I'm Falcon. It's guaranteed very, very good. I have X advantage. Like it's perfect.
And then you have to learn.
Run into somebody. Maybe not. Okay.
And
so
he's telling. Level? And he tells me when we're playing like the same thing you're telling your opponents. Like, don't let me get away with that. He's like, don't let me do this. You up throw when I'm at ledge. It's a better 50-50.
Right.
I'm like, okay. I'm learning. This is very new. I have to start doing this.
Yeah. So you help your opponents learn what your character does, how to beat your character's specific situations. It helps you, the player, improve a lot.
Yeah.
I was at one point, I was very confident in my edge guarding when I played. This was in like early 2008. So I would just reset to neutral instead of edge guard.
Wow.
A lot of the time in friendlies, I'd just be like, well, I've got that part like pretty well figured out. Like we need to figure out the neutral game a lot more. So if I'm playing to improve, like come back on stage. We're doing it again.
that just shows me a lot about how you are improving though, because I was curious about that. And you you work on specific areas and you're really playing to improve all the time, it feels like.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Back then. Now I don't care if I improve
now
at all.
You are a fun haver, yes.
I am pure fun having now. But back then, I grinded. I had a it was an obsession for me, was melee and melee improvement. I had a written like a binder with notes I would take, not while playing the game, just while thinking about the game. It'd be like, okay, this how do I edge guard this recovery with a move that I haven't thought about before?
Yeah.
Writing stuff down, going through the list.
Countless times in high school, I have many journals just full of random thoughts. I have a book called I thought it was going to be this like big thing, and I made it all nice with colored pencils and made it super cool. I'm like into graphic design and stuff, so I was like, oh, let me draw all these things. And I called it the Falcon Handbook. And I wrote down every piece of movement information I had in like 2018 or 2017, just in math class, just writing down like the controller stick motion for a Charlie walk. Or like, and then the other funny thing I remember doing in my note taking was, because I go on and off of taking notes that are actually helpful and
for sure,
and also just being silly. But when I'm actually in my really competitive, grinding state, I haven't taken notes in a couple of years actually, but but my favorite thing I ever did was watch my sets, and then when I saw a terrible positioning thing or a terrible neutral mistake, I drew it. I drew it with colored pencils, a full page image. And I just wrote on the page, like, why? And so I solidify it in my brain. And my favorite picture was on Yoshi's story. Falco was on top platform, and I was in the middle of a Raptor Boost on the ground. And Falco was doing nothing. And I just wrote WTF on the paper.
Classic.
I was like, dude, you have to stop doing this.
That's great. That's such a classic like Falcon scenario where like the brain was just not going at that moment, and you're just like, hey, you might drop down, boom, just try to get him.
That's a read, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, the hard read if it works. Some hard reads are hard reads. Some hard reads are like, I turned my brain off completely and you just happen to be there.
Yeah, I'm starting to learn that all I need to do to improve is stop committing that hard to every single thing I do.
Oh man, yeah, that is really a key of it, you know. Trying to do less play by feel and more like actually play in the moment for what the scenario calls for. It's hard because Melee is such a complex game where, in a 5-second interval, you have thousands of different possibilities that can happen at any moment. So it's hard to go like, okay, if they jump, I X. Well, that doesn't really help. There's so much going on. They can jump at a million angles. They can cancel their jump. They can do all sorts of things. So you've got to put yourself in the spots that have the highest percent chance of success, basically.
So you have moved to SoCal now, and you are improving, grinding, figuring it out.
Yeah. The first weekend that I went down there actually was possibly the best weekend of Melee that I have ever had. It wasn't the best tournament result I'd ever had, but just for how I felt that I was playing. Sometimes you just are in it. Like your brain is like so tuned into Smash.
And can you, just for my new school Melee brain, can you just like set the scene? Like, is Mango in SoCal right now? Who's around?
Yeah. Mango is. I did not know who he was at this time,
but he's a teenager. He's starting to take names and
he's young. Like that. He had just beaten Mewtwo King though at a tournament. It just beaten his first big win.
Okay.
And I moved down there, and it's Mango, Hugs is there. By this time Ken's not playing anymore. I had gone to SoCal a few times, but it's not that era. There's Die Superfly. Lucky is just starting to improve. Like Lucky is probably the third Fox on the PR. Like he's like down there. He's like 9th or whatever. So he's getting better. There's somebody named Knives who is the Fox that's above him. A lot of really, really great players. I mean, SoCal is such a thick scene. It's so like
always has been.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can be unranked in SoCal and you are better than all of the ranked players in X state.
I feel
it's very possible.
No, I experienced that when I and just in NorCal too. But I went to visit my brother. It's Apple, who lives in Oklahoma at the time.
Yeah.
I went to visit him. We went to a tournament, one of his locals together, and just played Melee like the whole week. It was really fun. And this was 3 or 4 years ago. I was getting kind of good at this point. I was maybe taking 2 sets at my local and stuff. But my movement was good. Yes, progress is starting. Good. And I have like one combo video that popped off on Reddit for some reason. So some people know maybe what my name is. I go there and he's like talking me up to all of his friends all the time. My little brother's crazy. And so I get there and I go my secondary Young Link at their local and I got 2nd place. And I was like, some PR Oklahoma players are here. I was like,
what's happening?
At the point, what's his name? I think Dr. GG is his name. He's a Falcon from Oklahoma. He was one of the best Falcons there. And I was like going to even friendlies with him in the Ditto, and I was like, I'm nowhere near the level of PR in just NorCal, just my local scene, not even NorCal. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And still just the difference of scenes is crazy. And of course that's a different story now. Now, I mean, we have Shifted who came up from Oklahoma. His little brother's a crazy Sheik. I forget the tag though. And there's and now Oklahoma's just completely stacked like every other place.
For sure. Everywhere is now.
But just 4 years ago, I mean, it was just crazy seeing the difference of the scene.
Well, back when I played, there was a conversation that would come up every so often. Someone would go, "Do you think that there's just some guy in his basement just playing forever and he's secretly the best player in the world?" It was like, of course there's not. Like, you can't learn like DI and there's no Uncle Punch. There was nothing, no resources. Now it's like, dude could be doing that. Like he could literally be on Slippi doing all these training tools and stuff. And secretly, you know, there are certain top level interactions you won't learn, obviously, but like, you know, when ranked comes out,
there might be some random
guy shows up to his first tournament ever, and it's a super major, and he gets third. I don't know. It's possible.
I was gonna say with that conversation you'd have with people, the closest we got was probably PPMD, right? But just because he was studying much and stuff underground, but he still had to climb, you know.
Yeah, for sure. You back then you didn't get good without playing other people. You can theorize DI all you want, but you still got to react when the moment comes to it. It's such a change. The online component being so prevalent is just. It's insane. I would drive an hour to go play Smash with somebody who I was better than and didn't know, like, if we were even going to learn anything. I would drive an hour to go play with them for, 12 hours and then just go home, you know?
A weekend.
Yep. So that first weekend in SoCal, I go down there. And in Washington, we had one monthly every month in Western Washington. And there'd be, I don't know, 35 people. It was just respectable for then. It was like a pretty decent thing. And I'd go and I'd get top 8s at those, no crazy like standout. Wow, I can't believe you got, second or whatever at this thing. Go to SoCal the first weekend I'm there. Saturday and Sunday both have multiple tournaments.
Wow.
And the two that were the biggest ones happening were, I think both of them were like over 50 people. So it was like, whoa, like, where am I? What is happening? This is insane. First one that I go to, I ended up getting fifth at, which was great. Super good. Beat a couple of PR players.
SoCal,
Yep. That first day, I played Mango in tournament. I didn't know who he was. I forgot. I had just played somebody, and like, I don't know who any of the players in SoCal are, other than like the like super good ones. So I walk up to report a match, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is Gimpyfish. I beat blank, and I remember the TO. He like looked up from his desk, and he was like, "You beat that guy?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, I don't see anything that like matters with it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, okay." Random Bowser guys like doing stuff at the tournament. I go to play Mango, and I didn't know Mango at the time. Remember, I'm just going to play this random Puff kid at the tournament, and it ended up being so close, so close. It was one hit away from being, one of us could have won at any moment. One up B away for me winning, and one heavy hit from him for him winning. Last game on Yoshi's, and he ended up winning that set. But that was a big moment of like people being like, okay, like he actually knows how to play, because you can hear stories about the good low tier guy from wherever, and it's like, okay, well, he's kind of good, whatever. But I was doing really well, and that the second tournament, I got second at that tournament, and I played through like their whole PR. It was such a good moment. Like I beat the 12th guy in the PR, the 9th guy in the PR, the 5th guy in the PR, and the 3rd guy in the PR, like all in a row. And lots to Die Superfly. If anybody's heard of him, he's such a good player. He's so consistent. Lost to him twice, beat everybody else at that tournament. So it was like, okay, I do know how to play the game. Like I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
SoCal's now, instead of going, oh, who's this random Washington Bowser? They're like, oh yeah, he's SoCal. He's SoCal now. He's a SoCal guy. Like they're like,
they want to own the sickest Bowser. Yeah, they're like, you're just on our land. You're with us. That's funny. So you're climbing. Obviously, did you start going to like big things? Were there any majors? I don't know if they were called majors or what, but
definitely was a different scene back then. There were some things that back then would have been called super majors every so often. Like my first big one was OC3. I went to FC Diamond. Those were, people flew in from all over the place. There were 300 plus people, which was massive back then, like absolutely enormous. And then there were majors that were a little not as like everyone is here, including all the randoms, but there's some serious killers at these tournaments, and they're big. So the two when I lived in SoCal majors that were called then at the time, it's like I said, it's very different now. There were about 150 to 180 people, and they were a monthly tournament. But these two happened to be absolutely insanely stacked. There was UCLA 4 and UCLA 5. And the best tournament result I have ever had, and I think the best that a solo Bowser has ever had, was at that UCLA 4. I ended up getting 5th at that for a tournament that at the time was called a major. It's different now. I want to clarify that now. It's very different. But at that tournament, the only two people that I lost to were Mango and Hugs. And everybody else I'm just kind of rolling through. So like Lucky's at that tournament, we placed, I think, like 5 spots or something like that above Lucky. Like tons of people. It was a fun event.
That is insane.
Going through.
I've never been in a scene where there's such a good low tier player, so I'm just trying to imagine that experience, looking at the bracket and like talking to my friends, like, what?
Yeah, because you see, every so often you'll see somebody playing a low tier that's breaking into like the top 32 or whatever, and you're like, you're at a major and you're like, I have to play like a young Link, like what? I'm this far in, like what is happening?
I don't know about you, but I think I've been seeing more of that recently, right? I mean,
I think so too.
Like there's a rise. I've seen a lot of young Links specifically. I've seen a lot of new Pikachus. I've seen, some crazy Mewtwo stuff that's honestly scary, and I hope they stop because that's ridiculous.
Mewtwo is wild. He's such a bully against very specific things. I hope we see more of that, because it used to be, even like now you hear about like, you don't even hear about top 8s anymore. You hear about top 3. You don't really even hear about like the whole gamut of it. It used to be back when I played, you'd find out someone got top 32 and you'd be like popping off for it. Like you'd be like, that's an amazing result.
I kind of do that for me, for my homies, I'd freak out about that. And also, just as a viewer, I love watching Melee, obviously. And normally I get the opportunity, because if I go to majors and stuff, I'm not making it to top 64 and stuff. But that is always my favorite part to watch of tournaments, is top 64. Top 8's cool, but I expect the people that are going to be there, and I know the matchups I'm going to see. I love top 64 because that's when, I don't know, you have an up-and-coming, I'm trying to think of someone right now, but that's when you'll see...
That's when the magic happens, man.
That's when you see Lag play S2J or something, and you're like, a Roy could actually keep going into top 16 winners, and that's when you're getting super hyped for these people that could do it, and you're just hoping,
So back when this UCLA tournament happened, was, right on the cusp of probably my peak of popularity, of people knowing who I was and all this stuff. And I totally forgot about this. Something very fun happened at that event for me. Somebody from Canada came down. His tag was Delorded. I don't think anyone would know by his tag who he is now. He entered the tournament as Canada. And he played, I was waiting to play the winner of Lucky versus Canada. Lucky versus him. And we've got a little squad there. SoCal's a bit rowdy at this time. Probably still pretty rowdy. We've got our squad, and we're yelling and screaming and cheering. And Canada at one point, the Delorded, he gets up. He like literally stands up from his chair, and he turns around, and he just goes, "Shut the F up!" Like super loud. It was very like awkward, but like, okay, this guy's like very upset, like obviously. It did not shut up SoCal's rowdiness. Obviously, that just makes everyone go a little crazier. But he ends up winning. He beat Lucky. And so I was 100% sure I'm about to be playing Lucky. My brain is thinking like, okay, what do I do with Fox? Like we've played many times before at this point. It's been, I win, he wins. We're going back and forth in sets. Now I'm playing this Peach from Canada. And we play the first match, and there's a huge crowd now at this point because everyone watches Lucky lose. And then I'm going up to play him after this. Yeah, so everyone's curious. The crowd is like 40, 50 people now just surrounding this little CRT setup. People are gathering, you hear over the radio, Canada versus Gimpyfish, so people are gathered. First match is nothing to talk about. I win the first match. And he takes me to Poke Floats, which is a thing that happened then. And I want you to just think for a moment, just take a pause, viewer, listener at home, and just think. You play Bowser and you are being taken to Poke Floats. Just think about that. The stage is moving around. Your jump is 8 frames. Yeah. Your jump is 8 frames. Like your landing lag is 6 frames. You can barely live if there's not an opponent on the screen. You have to keep up with the stage. It's not good.
And Peach has turnips.
And Peach has turnips and can float and like whatever. Great counter pick. Miserable. So we go to Poke Floats and we're trading stocks. And the reason that we're trading stocks is I'm killing him at the same rate. I'm just sort of dying. So for whatever reason, and there's one point on that stage, anyone who played on April Fool's this year, you should remember this. There's a point on the stage where there's a slow poke who's got his tail up around the corner.
And it goes down.
And at some point he goes whoop with his tail. And over on the other side, like something else comes out and then something else comes out after that. I'm on top of the tail. I don't know why I'm there now. I don't know what I'm doing over there. I'm on top of the curved tail. And I think he just like pokes me with the turnip and the tail is going like this. And so, I can't, I'm up being, there's a tail and it pushes me back. So I just like hold the other way. I'm on my last stock. So I put my head down and we always have one of these nearby. I'm gripping the controller like this because I'm frustrated. Just like, I'm like, I could have been able to win right there. Holding. And I look down and I'm closing my eyes and I had held to the left while I was going.
Did that tree guy carry you off the top?
So it's better than this. Okay. So I'm down. I'm eyes closed. I'm thinking I'm frustrated and I get hit on the back. 2 hands hit me on the back. Boom. And I hear Lucky go, Gimpyfish, you're alive. And what had happened was Pseudo Wudo coming up from the bottom, picking me up just barely. He must have spawned like right when I was about to die. He lifts me up from the bottom of the screen and I don't know what's happening. So I just up B, just stupid Bowser brain instinct, just up B. I don't know if I'm falling. I don't know what's going on. And as I look up, I see that Sheik is coming at me with a forward air and I trade that up B, boom. And he dies off the top.
Wait,
and I live.
Sheik was or Peach?
Peach. Sorry, Peach. Yeah, comes with the crown. Wham! I get the up B off the top kill without looking at the end of that. And I'd never had. It was everybody exploded. I mean, it was like I just won the tournament. Like everybody behind there was screaming and yelling.
Oh my god!
I can't imagine how upset the player I was playing was. Probably pretty upset.
If that happened to me, I would just be like, that's fair. Look at how he just died. I mean,
hey, he took me there.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't decide on the stage.
If people counterpick me to Yoshi's and then I recover only because of Randall, I'm just like, you fucking made a mistake.
This was you, man. Yeah. Randall wasn't going to be there on Battlefield, was he?
Yeah.
Just a lot of good memories. And then I started getting, random good wins would come in. Idris, who was probably the second best Peach in the nation at the time. I ended up beating him in a set. Kira, who some of you might know, good Sheik player who does like educational content or did. I ended up at Kira.
Oh yeah, Kira. Yeah. SSBM tutorials.
Yep, ended up beating him in a set. This was forever ago, though. He's a different kind of a player now, but ended up beating him in a set. Took out DeShizwiz and Cruz at one point. They threw him in against me, and I was really good against Falco at the time. So, just random wins here and there. Once I was in SoCal, the ball was rolling and things were going. And then Brawl started. And I was so excited about Brawl. And I convinced myself that I loved that game. So I played it really hard for like a month and a half. And yeah. Then it was Brawl. I got really frustrated with it. But that's why I stopped playing Melee was Brawl. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. In SoCal, we would go all over. We would just drive to Arizona randomly for tournaments. It would be anywhere in SoCal. You could always find a weekly that was bigger than the monthlies that I came from. Constant tournaments, constant money matches, all of that. Anytime I would travel to a tournament, I never really ended up in the negative dollars wise because I would just money match everyone. And even when I started becoming well known, like that was almost a benefit to people taking the money matches.
Yeah.
Before the benefit was like, I'll money match you. I don't know. I'll play Bowser. Oh, sure, I'll money match you. So I would, I'd make the flight money.
But then once they know who you are, it's like, I want to be the person that beat this Bowser.
Right.
So it's like,
right. So I've heard of you. I want to
and
play.
Even if they hear of you, they're still not going to be intimidated until you take the first stock, and they're like, oh no.
Yeah. SoCal was a great time. That was some of the most fun that I've ever had in Melee for sure.
Yeah.
But coming up in Washington, I'm so glad that I did. All those people are super homies.
Yeah.
Our crew was so much fun. Started as Combo Status. Well, that wasn't our original name. Our original crew name, and I'm not joking, our crew name was just that sound. That was the crew name. We just spelled it SSSP. And I was like, yeah, we gotta work on that. We can't do that.
I'm not a branding or marketing expert, but that doesn't sound like a good choice.
Combo Status was awesome.
That's cool. Yeah. So when you're playing Brawl and you are not in the Melee anymore, was there any moment when you kind of made your decision when you were like, my time with Melee should be done now? I had my moments. Did you think about that a long time, or did you announce your retirement, or did you kind of just like fizzle out? Like what happened?
It's sort of a mix. When Brawl was coming out and I was so excited about it, it's hard to think about this now because now like there is Melee and there are other games that are however they are. And I'm a huge Ultimate fan. Like I'm not like anti the other games. I want to make that very clear.
No,
I
me
love
neither.
Smash Bros. Period. I think it's fun.
I literally watch like beefy Smash dudes Ultimate stuff all the time.
It's
like
fun.
It's
cool.
great. It's fun. Yeah.
But back then, like there was 64 in Melee, and then whatever's next. So the mentality wasn't like, oh no, like we're gonna stick with Melee. It was just like, let's see what happens next. Like what can possibly top this? What can come after this journey we're on? So it wasn't I'm gonna quit this. It was just like, we're moving on. Like we're just all gonna go play this other game. So it was partly that, partly when I actually like quit competitively, I think what were my goals when I started playing the game and when I started getting good? What did I want to do? And the three things were, I want to become, I want to be known for the character that I play, which, check that off. I think that I've accomplished that pretty well. I wanted to have a really good tournament result with Bowser. At first that was, I want to win a tournament with Bowser. I mean, I won like little locals and stuff. But
that goal's going to become more realistic though.
Exactly. You're going to change from I want to win a super major with Bowser to I want to have a good placement, which, I did. I did that at that UCLA tournament. And I want to change how the character is played. Was the other one. And I think that I also have done that. So looking back, I don't go like, oh man, I wish I would have pushed for another year or another 2 years or whatever to see what else I could have done. Like mission accomplished for me. I feel very good about what I did in the Melee scene, you know, and I had a lot of fun while doing it. You know, I have a lot of good experiences that you just don't get through other hobbies. I mean, I traveled around, especially the West Coast. I traveled around parts of the U.S. to play a video game with my friends. Like, that's so cool. A little more common now, but still, it's not that common. I mean, it was just awesome. It was super fun.
I'm just now getting used to it. I mean, I never traveled until like very, very recently. Like Riptide in Ohio was like the first time I flew out for something. Now I'm going to Texas soon. Yeah, it's really cool.
It's so much fun. So no regrets on any of that. I don't know that I necessarily made any sort of a statement at some point. When I quit Brawl, I also didn't really make a statement. I just sort of was frustrated with a few things, and quitting like all the way quitting was a sort of a like a personal decision for me. So becoming good in Melee was great, but SoCal it was not the best thing for my mentality. To be doing really well and being gassed up constantly by SoCal, right? Because at a certain point, there was a switch that was flipped. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so like play for fun now. A switch was flipped, and that switch told me I'm better at this video game than other people. I'm better than other people. Like, it was like very like, that's not good. Never
ego problem.
So when I had that realization, it was when I started getting frustrated with Brawl, because when Brawl came out, like, I won every single Brawl tournament in SoCal for like 4 months straight. I don't know if you know that.
Wow.
I won everything that came out, singles and doubles every weekend. I made thousands of dollars off of that game when it first came out. And then I just was so frustrated with it that I was like, I just cannot do this anymore. It's not actually like I'm playing a game that it isn't, and I'm so frustrated. But yeah, I quit because once I realized that was sort of the mentality, that was what was happening, I was starting to get like angry, which is not really an emotion that's like a part of my life normally at all. I just knew I had to take a step back. So I quit Smash altogether. I stopped posting on Smash boards. And I had like 4 years probably straight where I didn't touch the game at all. Like not one time.
And that's like probably a super healthy thing for you to do. I mean, seems like it was best for you if you're not. Yeah, and that's super respectable. Like, you had your shining moments, and it was like, it was good. Yeah.
No regrets for quitting, and then because I feel like I accomplished all the things, and then I feel like I made like a good personal decision to be like, something's turned unhealthy here somewhere, and I need to like really back up to sort of find the center now. And now the game is for a totally different reason for me now. Now we're here to goof off and have a good time. Improvement is nowhere on my mind while I'm playing this game.
And you probably still are in some ways. I mean, I'm sure you have.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you know, it being so long ago, there are people that in my crew, Eggs was in my crew. He was nationally known as a player because he could shield drop consistently. Like, literally, he could do that consistently, so he was known on a national level as a player. Technology has changed, right? And it's so much easier to learn how to do all these things. So now, you know, oh, that's how you shield drop? There's all these shortcuts and things. Like, yeah, okay, now I can shield drop. Like, am I better at shield dropping now? For sure. Am I thinking the same while I play? No. No, not at all. I am not going to take a 7-minute match on Slippi. If it's going to take 7 minutes, I'm just going to move on. I don't need this.
Yeah. Man, I had so many more things to ask you about, like Slippi and stuff, and your experience now. I can only imagine, dude.
Hey, I can come back.
You quit us. Well, I was just about to say, I would definitely have you. Just like literally every other guest I've had on here, I would definitely have you back on at some point.
I have a lot to say about Slippi stuff, so if you have me back on, we can talk Slippi like the whole time.
And I would totally go over, but I do have to. I want to start warming up. I'm entering Giga Schwab in, I believe, 30 minutes actually.
Well, don't think about Shine Out a Shield with Falcon.
Thank you. I won't. But yeah, that if you have anything shout outs you want to say or whatever, please go ahead.
Well, first shout out is actually just to you. What you've been doing is, I am used to sort of a stale scene at this point. That's a little unfair to say. It's a little unfair.
To be fair, you have stayed a long time though. You've seen a lot of it. So
I've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But looking at what you've been doing with the combo videos and with the even the initial thing that I think most people probably heard of you from, which is the 100 Ways to Stomp Knee. That series, right?
Yeah.
It's silly nonsense, but it's great. It's super unique. It actually is something. It's not just silly nonsense,
Yeah.
And the combo videos and things, the recent combo video that you had come out, the bigger one, Don't Tell Me, Dreaming Awake.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yes. Phenomenal. I mean, just awesome. Super cool to see. It is rare that I see a thing in Melee that surprises me, like a thing. And in that video, several things surprised me. It was great. It was so much fun to see. So you keep it up. You are a good force of not just going, I will copy what the good folks are doing, but actually engaging with the game and playing it and learning and figuring some things out on your own and sort of making an art out of it. Because that's the big thing that I like out of the game is you can play this game 8 billion different ways. Mm-hmm. Why would I play like anyone else?
Yeah.
Why? Exactly. And so it's great to see. As far as me, you can follow me on Twitter, on Twitch, on whatever. I'm just 62-bit hero on everything now. Even my YouTube, I actually finally ended up changing that.
Finally changed it. You can still find the classics though. Oh my gosh.
You sure can. You can still watch Boozer Cute, don't worry.
And
also watch Boozer Cute 3. It's the best video you've ever seen.
Well, dude, we'll talk about it next time, but I just watched that before we started. It's so good. All right.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's super fun. So,
of course, dude. Everyone, thanks for being here. This will be uploaded on Monday morning, the 11th, about 8 a.m., somewhere around there. So thanks so much, and we will see you with the next one.
Right on. Thank you. Bye, everyone.